You are so beautiful to me. I'm in the music room, so I'm singing. A compliment, praise, telling people that you appreciate them, that they're important to you and that they're beautiful or special. The people in your life, when you give them compliments, do they appreciate it or do they bat it back at you with something negative? And I ask that question because a lot of people share with me that they have poor relationships or the people in their life don't compliment them or praise them enough. But my question is always this: when somebody gives you a compliment, what's your response? Do you say thank you? Do you appreciate the compliment? Are you proud of yourself for receiving the compliment? Or do you say to the person, no, I'm not, or you're wrong? And could that be disrespectful? If somebody's giving you their opinion about you and you disagree with them, even if it's positive, that could come across as you being rude. I'll just use that as an example. What about, do you need praise? Do you need compliments? Do you go searching for them? And I find that really interesting because that's something I deal with on a pretty regular basis. Here's my classic example of that. Please give me some feedback. I like to call it feed forward because I like people to tell me the truth so that I can go forward. But most people, when they ask for feedback, have you noticed, it's usually, tell me I'm awesome, tell me this is great, tell me I've done a top job. I want your feedback to be positive, that I'm amazing. Now, my question for that, of course, is how can you possibly learn if you're getting feedback that's just positive, positive, positive? There's a great quote: I'm not going to congratulate a dog for barking or being good at barking. I'm not going to congratulate a fish for being able to swim. There are some things that probably don't need compliments and praise because it's what we should be doing. It's like if you do your job, and I'll use this as an example as an employer, and I've employed literally thousands of people in my time in business. If you do your job, that's what you're getting paid to do. So if you're searching for compliments and praise, oh, you're good at your job, shouldn't it be the opposite to that, which is what did you do above and beyond what is expected of you? To be seeking praise and appreciation for what you do, what you're getting paid to do, may come across as a little bit needy. It may come across as, oh, I need to be praised because I don't have very good self-esteem. And in a relationship, of course, that can be very ugly, regardless of the relationship. If somebody's constantly needing to be praised, to be appreciated, to be thanked, it gets a bit tiresome, have you noticed? And I'll use an example for that. I put in 110% effort and nobody notices. Well, there's two parts to that don't make any sense. Number one is 110% is impossible. If you put 110% air pressure into a bike tire, a car tire, a tractor tire, it will explode. You can't give 110%. So expecting somebody to appreciate you for giving 110% seems a little silly. But to me, telling somebody that you put in 110% and they didn't notice sounds a little bit like a whine. And great response to that, would you like some cheese with that wine? Surely the best person to praise you, appreciate you, tell you how awesome you are is yourself. Surely you know when you've done a top job. When people say to me, did you pass the test or the exam? I always knew that I did or I didn't. If I put in the study, I put in the training, I put in the practice, I did the work, I either knew that I didn't do enough work because I was tested, I had to do an assessment to find out if I was good enough, or I knew that I did because I did it with breeze and ease. Is it possible? We know. If you're asking for praise, if you're asking for somebody to tell you that you're awesome, is it possible that there's a challenge with your own personal self-esteem and self-confidence? Now, the reverse of that, of course, the human race needs praise and appreciation, acknowledgement. It's one of the basic human needs. I need people to acknowledge that I exist. I'll use another very simple example of that. The sweetest sound in the whole world, or the most important word in the whole world, is our name. If somebody calls us by somebody else's name or they've forgotten our name, that feels like we're not being acknowledged. That's just a very simple example of that. So is acknowledgement important? Of course. But if we're relying on it from other people, is it possible that it may not come, or it may not come in the form that we want it to, or we might even get the opposite, which is instead of praise, we get criticism. Instead of appreciation, we get nothing. And there's my very important question. Regardless of praise, criticism, positive or negative, regardless of compliments, would that change you as a person? Now, there's an interesting quote that says we do more of what we're praised for and less of what we're criticized for. And I get that that's probably human nature. But I don't want to live my life like that. I don't want to live relying on my emotions, my feelings, my achievements, the effort that I put in. I don't want that to be controlled by other people's praise and or other people's criticism. I just want to be me, put in my 100% effort every single time, and appreciate myself for doing that, because that's my very important question. Regardless of praise or criticism, regardless of whether people like you or not, regardless of whether people tell you you're awesome or they tell you that they hate you or you're terrible, when you're looking in your mirror at the end of your day, when you have to look into your own brain, when you have to live inside your own body, isn't the person who should be the most proud of you, the most respectful of you, the person who loves you the most, shouldn't that be you? And the reason for asking that question, if you're relying on other people to love you, respect you, appreciate you, what if they don't show up? And could that mean then that you don't have a happy life because you haven't got enough praise, you've got too much criticism, people don't like you? If you love who you are and you respect yourself and you love hanging out by yourself, then isn't it possible that everything else just becomes added value or icing on the cake? And I'll rephrase that. A lot of people like the icing better than the cake. How about the fundamentals of living as a great person is have a healthy, fit, strong body, have a healthy, fit, strong brain, with or without the cake, with or without the icing, and appreciate who you are. And then if somebody comes along and praises you for that, then it's just a beautiful thank you. But it's not going to change who you are. It's not going to make you better or worse. It's not going to drive you forward or stop you from going forward. A lot of people get criticism, a lot of people get negative feedback, and they stop doing whatever it is that they're passionate about. A lot of people have shared that with me. I was going to do this, but I'm not going to do it anymore because I was criticized for it or somebody told me that I couldn't. And isn't that just ridiculous? Because who you are, what you stand for, what your core values are, what you would die for, should that be a non-negotiable. Nobody can change that. Whether they praise you or criticize you, whether they pull you up or pull you down, the person you are should be the person you are. So if you need to be praised for swimming and you're a fish, maybe some self-esteem, self-confidence things to consider. If you need to be congratulated because you're a dog and you know how to bark, probably need to consider, what do I need to do to improve my self-esteem and self-confidence so that I love who I am, I'm proud of who I am, and here's my four beautiful things for wrapping up a great human being. Be self-motivated, self-disciplined, self-educated, self-inspired, so that you have self-respect. And if you have self-respect, what anybody else brings into your life probably doesn't matter. It's just that icing on the cake. And if you just want the icing, and you just want people to praise you regardless, that's a little bit like being praised for being able to swim and you're a fish. Be the strong, powerful, passionate person you've always wanted to be because you choose to be. So you can live your life to the max and sing to yourself, I love my life. I am so beautiful. I am passionate. I am fit and strong. I love my life.